Could you please tell us your name, what school you go to, and what degree of education or what year of law school you're currently in?
So my name is Abdul Nogues, and I'm actually at the University of Texas at Austin School of Law, and I am an LLM student that will graduate in May 2022.
Abdul, so you're from the Bahamas. I think you're our first Caribbean student. You have work abroad in Asia. You have done research on the issues of migration in other countries. But how has your perspective on migration changed since last Friday in this program?
Well, it's definitely made me consider what's happening beyond the border. Because, I've read many articles, I've watched documentaries, etc., but I never thought about what happened in the aftermath or the implications of the US policies of deportees and migrants back over the border. So that made me start thinking that there's much more to what I've been learning in school, for example, or learning my policy courses.
It's fascinating. We met so many people. We had so many experiences. It's incredible how much we've managed to get done in a week. But what was your favorite part of the program, or what was one of the maybe speakers or people you met who impressed you the most?
Well, Father JJ today was very impressive, very knowledgeable. Very forthcoming and transparent with what's happening here in the country. But I would say basically meeting the migrants. Like I said before, I've read about migration, wrote about migration and migrants and refugees. I've watched documentaries, but never really met, especially people in Mexico, for example, like Haitian, for example, before. So I found it quite fascinating to actually meet someone from the Caribbean, where I'm from, actually here in Mexico, and hearing about their journey, to this country and their plans afterwards.
So you're at ML and you have advanced studies, right? Do you think this was worth it as an LLM student to come here?
Yes, any student studying human rights, immigration, refugee law, etc. in America, you can't be involved in immigration studies in the US or immigration policy without actually understanding what's happening here in Mexico. So for me, this is very rewarding, and I feel like I should actually give my tuition to the center because it was just, I've learned so much to help, complement what I've been learning theory and the law in America.
Abdul, your resume and your experience has been really enriching for me. And as I think about the program, I want to know, can you tell us maybe one or two ways you think this will help in your career, in your writing, and the work that you do?
Well, my plans after I leave here is that I will definitely help articulate what I've learned. So I hope to publish a paper, being an academic, and then secondly, I want to know long term, I want to be able to formulate policies and challenge government to make a difference because I feel, for example, governments aren't doing enough in the region, whether it's the US, Canada, or any Latin American, many Caribbean, Latin American countries aren't doing enough, and I think more can be done. So basically, my goal is actually to think of ways to make the situation for migrants better, and at the UN level, for example.
And Abdul, students look at programs to enrich themselves. What would you tell students who are considering attending this program about why they should maybe come to Guadalajara and take the Resident Center's law student program?
Again, for those students who are considering or studying immigration law or refugee law or migration in America, or whether it's law school or in a policy school, you cannot understand American law, immigration, migration, without understanding, again, what's happening with migrants in Mexico. So I would encourage everyone to apply to this program. Especially if you're an LLM student who from overseas. If you really want to understand what's happening in American policy and laws about immigration and migration, you got to understand what's happening across the border as well too. They go together. So I would encourage you to apply.
And I believe, Abdul, that the Hispanic Bar Association of Austin provided funding for you people to attend Guadalajara and defray the cost of the program, right? What would you tell the funders about the value of continuing to support programs like this one at the Rising Center to allow students to come to Guadalajara?
For me, I would tell you, definitely it was worth it. I want to thank you for funding me, and I definitely want to make when I lead this program, not only just think of knowledge, but make a difference. And so I'm definitely committed. This made me even more committed to, the causes of migration here in Mexico and across the region, for example, in the world. So again, I would hope that you continue to fund this program because they need the funding, and I think that every student, every policy student or student studying human rights migration should be in such program. And as you know, in Mexico, or even in the region, there's, I think, very few programs, or hardly none, doing a similar job as the center is doing. So I encourage you to definitely and to continue to support the center.
Bill, it's been our pleasure to have you, and so glad you came here. And the questions you asked will reverberate in my mind for many, many months, I'm sure. And so, thank you.
Thank you.